Good morning, everybody. We're so glad that you have all these people that you can go and disagree with on the internet, and you've chosen us. Isn't that wonderful?
Pick your
Yeah,
fight.
so nice. We're so excited. So thank you for that. We love being the people who are wrong on the internet that you decide to wake up and argue with first thing in the morning. It's just great. So it's such a privileged position. All right. Leigh-Ann Mol's here.
Yes,
Hello,
indeed.
Ass. How was your weekend?
It wasn't as eventful as last weekend when I rescued a dog and saw PJ Powers.
Yes, so none of that.
No, but
What excitement was there? Any?
no, not too much. Just
No.
pretty
Okay,
even
so-
killed.
Okay, so good for the
didn't I-
humors.
yes, good for
nothing
the
too
humours.
excessive.
I did have a client event last week,
Mhm.
and it was Thursday, and I think I'm only recovering now.
Why?
It's just a lot when you're involved in a
Oh, you mean the
corporate
actual
event.
organization of the thing? And
Well,
everything?
yeah, I did a bit of that. But yeah, it takes it out of you, you know.
Well, luckily for you, it's Monday, which means we get to spend a bit of time with Dr. Hanan, which is always
Nice.
good. So we can get our heads right.
Mhm.
And then we have a proctologist coming in later. That's an asshole doctor,
was
so we
gonna say, is
get
that
our
the bum
assholes
one?
right. Yeah, and then
Okay.
and then we've even got a guy who is like a lion trainer and tamer, not like in the circus sense.
No,
Yeah, but
no,
he's
and I know a few of those.
Mm.
I think I know who you're talking about.
well.
We'll see.
We better enjoy him while he's not being eaten by his lions. That's what I always say, because it's only a matter of time. We'll find out what kind of insanity makes people choose that as a job.
Hopefully, he's not bringing one in with him.
Maybe, that could be exciting. Maybe this will be the last time you see Leigh-Ann and I.
We've survived a cheetah before, but those you can kind of take around with you.
Yeah, but I mean, a lion will just bite your whole head off. The whole head gone, one shot.
Entirely consumed
Listen, I mean, I think that's the most humiliating way to die, as food.
as food.
No, really. You can, threaten me with all kinds of horrible torture and death, but being eaten is just so humiliating. It's like, ugh.
It could have been avoided.
Yeah, it's like, must I really go down as food? That's how I'm going to end?
And ultimately, as poop.
Well, that's even more disturbing, but we won't go there, because by then you don't even know.
I
Right?
hope not.
It's not your problem anymore. All right, so we got a lot to get into this morning. As I said, Dr. Hanan will be joining us. Musk says, this is Elon Musk, he says that the first mission to Mars will launch next year. So we could become an interplanetary species. I always think this stuff is going to be a couple of decades away. There's no rush. Why are you guys in such a hurry?
Yeah. Like, can you make sure you get it 100% right? Did you envision?
I don't mind if they don't get it 100% right. In fact, I'll guarantee you they won't get it 100% right. This is how great leaps forward happen. There's about 70% that they've got figured out. The rest, you have to leave to chance, because you'll never get 100% right. Sorry, that was, let's just see here. Oh, okay. The people are just letting me know that they're awake. Oh, nice. I always think that that's what makes these people brilliant, is that they are willing to risk what normal people like us will never risk. They're like, I think, this rocket's like 70% of the way there. Let's just get on. What the hell? Let's go. That other 30% we'll figure out while we're in the sky.
It's usually rich people, or people
Well,
who aren't struggling, or just, trying to survive every day,
No.
and they're bored.
No, I think that's why they're rich. So it's the cart before the horse,
Right.
or the chicken before the egg. In this analogy is probably a better one. It's like the reason that those people are rich is because they are prepared to risk. And that's how they make money, but actually money isn't their goal. I mean, especially not a guy like this, right?
Yeah.
He's just taken on what is the least glamorous thing in the world, like government efficiency. You got to be kidding me. From being this rocket guy and this Iron Man, and he's like a real life superhero. Sure, he's a bit autistic and has terrible taste in women, but he's like a real life superhero. And then everybody who hates him, which is so funny, it's like all these people who are pro government inefficiency, like that's their thing. You think about, like, what puts all the people in the anti-Elon Musk camp together, like Bernie Sanders and Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez and all of those people, is that they really like government inefficiency. And they hate him, but he's so much like his actual job, his real life is so much cooler than being the politician guy. He can never be president because he wasn't born there. He was born in South Africa. So he's not like preparing the way ahead for himself to be elected president. That's never going to happen. This is the highest office he can aspire to in America, and certainly in the bureaucracy, which is no one's idea of fun. Never met anyone who at the age of 5, you say, what do you want to be, little boy? And the kid goes, a government employee, a bureaucrat. Said no kid ever, right? Not cool, not an interesting job. Many kids will say, I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be an inventor, or I want to drive fast cars, or they never say, I'd really like to work on government efficiency. In fact, if you ever meet a child who says they want to work in government efficiency, just smother them with a pillow right there. Like, put them out of their misery, because that kid is a psychopath. So when people hate him, I do find it very bizarre that they go after like his ambition or his risk-taking nature, or they mock him for being, he's stupid. This is what some of those people who hate him actually say, he's stupid.
But
and I'm like,
he's clever on another level, like dog whistle level.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to call that guy stupid? I mean, what was your job before this? You were a bar lady. You used to you're a barista. You used to make coffee for people. Calm your tits,
Calm the fuck down, Margaret.
Anyway, so he says that SpaceX's Starship rocket could reach Mars by late 2026. But he better get launching then, because it takes 9 months to get there or something, right? With human landings possible by 2029 or 2031. So before this decade is finished, we might have people on Mars. Despite multiple test failures, including and that's another thing, is they say, another rocket failure.
Yeah, do you know how few experiments are carried out? They're too big to just...
And expensive.
Run every single day.
Difficult.
Yeah.
Like things that are difficult. If you say that he's, another failure for that loser, Elon Musk. What do you do again for a living? You stamp and sign papers and move them between departments. And you're like managing whether or not people's contracts get extended. And you want me to take you more seriously than the guy who's experimenting with millions of dollars of rocket engineering every day? I'm just not going to. Just shut the fuck up, actually. Because this is important for the survival of the species. And what you're doing with your stamping and your signing and your moving papers is absolutely not. No one in the future will ever remember the people who are criticizing him. But his name is guaranteed. I mean, he's pretty much... I think he's maybe the most important man on Earth right now.
In terms of influence?
Well, no, because
in terms of we wouldn't survive without him. Like
if we don't make it to other planets, if we don't have established civilizations or like fail-safes on other planets, we're not going to make it for another 10,000 years. And 10,000 years sounds like an extremely long time, right? In cosmic time, it's nothing. And we need to have the ability to spread our consciousness across the universe. And this might be the moment that we become more than a earthbound mammal species. We might become the species that colonizes other planets. And that would be amazing. It would be the only way that humans would survive for that much longer. In the extreme long term. So I noticed my microphone went all the way down during that. How embarrassing. Did I make your microphone go all the way down as well?
No, yours had a direction.
Definitely. All right, so there's some interesting stuff to start the morning. I did one cool thing this weekend. I went with my brother and sister-in-law to the school that their kids are at. And
yes,
we played we did a music quiz.
Video, I think, yeah.
Yeah, it was lots of fun.
That's very cool.
It was like one of those, they play you a little bit of the song and you have to guess the artist in the song and you get points.
Oh,
and,
yes.
So obviously we won.
I was going to say, how many groups were
There
contesting
were
it?
about 15, and it was like parents and teachers. And, the funny thing is that if you don't have kids and you see how tight-knit these communities are, these parents, these teachers, they have a lot to do with each other. They're around each other at least 5 days and sometimes more in a week. So they all know each other. They all have a bit of a background with each other. It's kind of, it's fun.
Yeah. It's a whole nother realm, a whole life.
Yeah. And people like us who don't have kids, we're like, wonder what these parents do all the time. They are busy.
Yeah.
They've got a lot on their plate. So now I know. Anyway, that was fun. And otherwise, very, very quiet and relaxed. You guys get up to anything fun? Flex, James? No? Oh, God. Okay. Well, do you want to come and tell us about the sport now? No, well, let's do that. Let's get that out of the way because you know how much Leigh-Ann and I love the sport. We're hankering for it. Look at us. We're desperate to hear about the sport. So let's get into it. Right, Leigh-Ann? You've been waiting all weekend for this moment.
Well,
It is your favorite thing. What?
I did just combining sport and what happened over the weekend.
Yeah.
There's my employer sent me a video of me at the event I was talking about Thursday. And Drickus du Plessis was the star of the night. And
okay.
We've got to know each other over the past few months. And at one point, I was at the bar ordering for someone else, actually.
Oh, really? What a lie.
And it was just a quiet moment. And I turned to my left and Drickus was standing right there.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, fancy meeting you here. And he leaned over and said, this is where I do my best work.
That's
and all
great.
of that's captured on a video with no sound. So, of course,
that's
now,
so great.
You can just pour your imagination. And then in the next video that was sent to me, it's his girlfriend coming in and putting a wedge between him and I.
So you could make up all kinds of stories there if you wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's like a real hero.
Yeah.
People love him. And it's amazing. It's amazing that fighting is still such a prize category, hey? It doesn't matter how civilized we think we are, how we're busy planning trips to Mars and whatever else.
Yeah.
Like you still, as a guy, are valuable to society if you can fight.
And even better now if you can slap. Slap fighting is a thing.
Oh, have you watched those things?
I have.
Yeah, that
It's
looks like they.
So
I mean, those people really hurt each other.
That can't be good for your brain.
Sure. Proper. They know. Some of them just knock themselves out.
It's out completely.
You just see they black out totally. Just fall like this. Boom.
Yeah, it's a specific medical thing that happens. I was watching an MMA fight with what was EFC. So with my surgeon cousin, and she said it's something that happens in the brain.
Yeah.
When the person's body just goes stiff and they fall. It's quite scary, actually. But yeah, to think that you go into an octagon or a ring thinking I need to kill that person or they'll kill me is really basal.
But it shows you, though, that we still need to be able to fight. Or as my aunt once said, you need to be able to run, jump, fight, fuck, wheelbarrow, drive a truck. Those are the things you need to be able to do. And with that, it's time for the sport. Here is James.
What an intro. Hello, guys.
How's it? What's happening?
I'm here to bore your Monday.
No. Don't start with that attitude. Give us things that will regale us with great stories of sporting prowess.
I got one.
That's what
I got one. I got the perfect sporting
you started by moaning
story.
About your football team.
Well, that's exactly what it is. But here's what's happened. So Liverpool have lost the Carabao Cup yesterday. It was
that's that cup that no one cares about.
Pretty much, yeah. But the thing is now we lost to a team who hasn't won a major trophy in 70 years.
Accrington Stanley?
Newcastle United.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes Newcastle interesting is that that used to be a major site for coal.
And even that's not that interesting.
No.
For anyone.
That's the most interesting thing about them. So think about how boring that place is the rest of the time. If the most interesting thing about them is that they used to send people down into coal mines to dig out coal for for power stations
Well,
to
now
make
they've-
fuel for
now they've-
choo-choo trains and so on. That's what they've got, Newcastle.
Well, now they've got a world-class football team that can beat Liverpool. That's also what
Shame.
they've got. Yeah.
But no, and it's a cup that no one cares about. But what's the news from last week is that your team has been relegated.
Which one? Accrington Stanley?
No.
No, my team's still. Oh no, we got
Liverpool.
kicked out of the Champions League as well.
Oh, that's what it is. You
That's
kicked
a
out of
bigger
that, okay.
disappointment than.
So basically, two really, really hard blows for Liverpool.
Basically, it's been a really cuck week to be a Liverpool fan.
Watch them fall back on the Beatles as soon as this happens. They're like, we have a great football team. And then suddenly sorry, I'll try and do that in Liverpudlian. We have a great
Oh my God.
football team, but when we are losing, we always fall back on Beatles. Something like that, right?
A packet of crisps
Okay.
and a can of
Packet of
Coke.
crisps. Okay, go on.
So yeah, we lost the League Cup, and that's all we need to say on that.
Okay,
in
so
the
that was
English,
exciting.
yeah, English Premier League, Ipswich, they lost to Nottingham Forest 4-2.
Two teams no one ever cared about.
Very correct. Man
Sure.
City drew to Brighton 2-2.
Only in the Middle East do they care about either of those.
Fair.
Go on.
Arsenal, they beat Chelsea 1-0.
Okay.
Londoners.
Arsenal, Chelsea, yeah. All right.
Londoners. Fulham, they beat Tottenham 2-0. That's a surprise out of the weekend.
Yeah.
And then Man United won this weekend also 3-0 against Leicester, which is a bigger surprise than Liverpool losing.
All right.
Is what happened there. There was also Betway Premiership this weekend. A huge upset. Mamelodi Sundowns, they lost to Pirates 2-1. Flex
really?
is also having
That's quite a big deal.
a pretty blue Monday for Flex and James.
Yeah, because he's also a Mamelodi Sundowns
Yeah.
supporter.
Yeah, he supports United though, so his other team won. So there's that.
Basically, you hedge your bets, right, Flex? You have two teams so that at least one of them will make your weekend. Yeah. I do have to say, though, that it is bizarre to me that grown men will decide if they had a good weekend or a bad weekend based on a handful of other men that they don't know personally.
And over whom they have zero control.
Zero. And then those guys, it's their responsibility to kick a ball well enough to make everyone else's weekend good.
Yeah, that
It's,
makes sense.
yeah, it's totally insane. It's completely
Completely insane.
off the charts fucking wild.
I can't
right.
think of anything else I want to revolve my life around.
Oh, it's bizarre.
Fun fact: this same kicking the ball sport is rumored to have a $1 billion prize money at the FIFA Club World Cup.
Yeah.
Next year. So they also get paid to do it.
Yes, I know.
Lots and
And
lots
well
and
done
lots
to
and
them. I
lots.
mean, it's just
Awesome.
phenomenal that they've convinced, idiots like you and Flex that you need to be watching them.
Well, that says a lot about the
'Cause-
sport, doesn't it?
In the end, the control that they do have, Leigh-Ann, is that they could just not watch like you and me.
I've always said that. There was something going
You'd get
around
back, like,
about
you'd
big
get back
game
to-
mentality. What's it called?
Big match temperament.
Yes. And how the one South African team, whether it was cricket or rugby, was failing because of the nerves in the public and people watching. And I said, well, then just people shouldn't watch.
Well, it's amazing that the one bit of control you have is to not watch.
Yes.
And I don't. I have my whole weekend. I don't have to set aside that time to watch these guys and expect so much from them, even though, as I said earlier, you don't know them, they don't care about you. You don't even live in the city that they named their football club after. But it's fine. If it makes you happy, then who the hell am I to argue? At least it keeps a lot of really terrible people off the streets during those times for the rest of us. That's what we want. Right?
That's why it's called the beautiful game.
I know.
That's what I'm saying.
Look at you trying to PR for football. Go on. What else?
There was also Six Nations this weekend. France winning that one. They beat Scotland 35-16. England thrashed Wales 68-14. Ireland beat Italy 22-17. There was also Formula One this weekend. News. I have news. Flex is now getting into Formula One also. He's a McLaren fan, and his boys this weekend, Lando Norris won the Australian Grand Prix. Max Verstappen second, and then Charles Russell in third. And that was quite a wet Australian Grand Prix actually also this weekend, kind of like our roads this morning getting here. And that's about it. That's the sport for the weekend.
So Carl wants to give me shit. He's like, this is coming from the guy who supports Argentina. Zero affiliation. It would make more sense if you supported Jamaica. But I only support them every 4 years in the World Cup because Maradona, right, back in the day. That's all.
Is that the only reason?
Yeah, I mean, I can't name anyone in the current Argentine national squad.
Wow.
I know I like their president at the moment. I like him, Javier Milei. But I became an Argentina fan in 1990 because of Maradona. That's what it was.
It's a
So
small
at least I have a story. Like, what's James got to do with Liverpool?
My dad went to Liverpool, to England, and
Yes.
then brought back my brother a Man United shirt and me a Liverpool shirt. And
So that's how it started.
Yeah.
By sheer chance. And if you
Yeah.
swapped the shirts around, you would have been a Man U supporter.
Well, yeah, pretty much. So my brother and my dad support Man United. I got the odd one out.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
They said
Okay.
you could just support whatever other red team
Okay.
you want. Also, by the way, Leo Messi's from Argentina. He's the
Yes, I know who Lionel
guy.
Messi is. I'm not a
Yeah.
complete idiot.
he's the
Yeah.
boss guy.
All right. Thank you very much, James.
That's the
about as
sport.
much value as you can add. Thank you. What did James do in his spare time if he isn't watching soccer? PlayStation games. There we go. Who the fuck is Charles Russell? It's George Russell you get. George Russell. Okay, George Russell's... Ben was very funny on Friday about, like, this guy from Formula One.
Oh,
You know
yeah?
who we're talking about?
No idea.
He looks like a housewife
Okay.
who drinks a lot of Chardonnay. And he drives Mercedes. So we were having some fun laughing about that. Lisa says, my late dad was a Man United guy. I wore a Man U scarf from the age of 1. Okay, I mean, it's always interesting to know why people are fans of the sport or the team that they are, right?
Mm,
Because some people, there is no origin story.
no.
It could be something as stupid as mine or James's, you know?
Yeah. Like I know someone who supported Ipswich because when he was little, his dad took him to an Ipswich game.
Yeah, see?
And for 60 years, he has supported Ipswich.
Bitcoin Bot says, what would James do in the spare time if he wasn't watching soccer? Well, we think we answered that with PlayStation. Manu, morning, everybody, says somebody else here. Leanne, has that cousin of yours ever applied for a job at the ANC to fix all these assholes? Because she's an asshole doctor as well.
Yes, but for babies.
Yes.
Baby
So
assholes.
the ANC,
The ANC,
they're too old.
they're very big assholes. I don't know if she would be interested in that.
Right, they're big and old assholes. So there's nothing she can do for them, I'm afraid. Their assholes are too big and too old and too stretchy.
I did tell you, though, that my aunt had to have an operation to stretch her asshole.
No,
Yeah.
that's fascinating. Tell me more.
I think she was suffering quite a bit from constipation and bladder
Right,
issues.
they
and
opened
it
up her asshole, huh?
Yeah, it was found out that her asshole was too small, so they stretched that out. But she came out of theatre, and the sister had warned her that she'd have quite a bit of wind, because I think they basically turn you upside down, stretch it out, and a lot of air gets in. And she came out, and
So did she come out and say, just watch out, you're going to be farting like a trooper?
They brought her. They had us in a tiny ward, so
Oh.
there were 3 beds in this tiny ward,
No.
and it was visiting hour.
Oh,
And you know, they're the people who aren't really that sick, so they've got a lot of family around. And
yeah,
they're all eating snacks.
yeah.
And she got up and said, "I need to go to the loo now." So she got up, and the back of her gown was open. And
Oh.
she had on big pink panties. So I closed her up, put her into the bathroom, and she proceeded to. I don't know how she came out alive.
What? Why the noises?
The noises were incredible. I tried to do everything that I could to cover them up. I washed my hands. I pulled the paper out of the machine, coughing, la la la, looking at my phone, trying everything because it
What,
sounded
like a lot of farts or?
no, it's like Donald Duck sounds. It's like Donald Duck being made into one of those chickens that squeal.
So, this is all because they've
It'd
made
be
her
like-
asshole bigger. That's revolting.
It was so embarrassing. And she came out holding with the drip and obviously her gown open again. And she didn't have her teeth in because of the operation. And she went, "Oh, that feels so much better." So yeah, There's the story of my aunt who had her arsehole stretched. She's never had a bladder infection since.
No, I'm sure everything's working fine now. Sometimes it just needs a bit of wind. Sure. What a lovely, delightful story to wake up to, especially if you're having a queasy start to your Monday. You know,
Slightly hangover-ish.
Oy. Look at James pretending he doesn't get into bar fights over the weekend. You don't do that. No. Liverpool played like absolute shite yesterday, says Gary. Oh, man. Sounds like when you let a jumping castle down, the air has to go somewhere, says Carl. Is that a good...
Yeah, and you know, when you're in that state, you literally don't care. It needs to get out.
So Janet, I see in the comments here, says Leigh-Ann is known for her life stories. They rank up there among the best. And she's not afraid to bring relatives in at a moment's notice to stand in for her in terms of life stories about having their assholes operated on. So Janet also sent me a message on Instagram over the weekend, and she sent me a video. James, I've sent it to you, of what she thinks Flex and James do when they're not producing the show.
Oh, yes.
It appears to me that these are two French gentlemen who are sitting in a garden. Have you got it? Okay. So this is what Janet reckons James and Flex do when they're not producing the show. And I think she's right. I think this is exactly what they do. So here it is.
On n'a pas les chapeaux, mais on ferme les yeux comme ça fera encore plus mal.
Oh
my gosh.
I think that's exactly right.
If the PlayStation was broken, that's exactly what would be happening.
For sure. Have you guys ever, do you want to try that? What if we could attach some string here? Is it full of water though? Yeah, because I think if that thing's full of water, it can, that would be like getting one of those slaps in the head. It's heavy.
Yeah, that could break your nose.
Yeah, for sure. Put 2 liters of water in there. That's 2 kilograms of weight. But I mean, that does show you. It does show you what's like going on when people are bored, especially guys. When we're bored, we'll do really, really dumb shit. I love it.
Yeah, there's one version where you tie a few smaller bottles to the fan and blindfold, and then the idea is that you do it as a family activity. And the idea is to duck every time you think the bottle's
family
coming.
Activity.
And in this one that I saw, the dad didn't know that you had to duck, and he just stood there and took blow after blow after blow, just screaming and swearing, and everyone was saying, "Are you ducking?"
Oh, Marvin's awake. Marv says, hello Monday, hello James, and hello Flex, hello Gareth, my old friend. Marv he works for us here.
All right.
And in fact, he's meant to be in charge, but he hasn't been here because he's basically falling apart.
Goodness me.
Yeah, I told everybody in the office the other day, I said to everybody, and we had a meeting, and I said, guys, Marv is still sick. I said, but don't get too attached to him. Because you don't know.
He told Marvin not to buy any
green bananas. Yeah. But no, he's had terrible, terrible things done to him in hospital.
Not like having his arsehole stretched, though.
I think probably even worse, like lumbar punctures and things like that. That's not nice. So get better, Marv. Otherwise, we'll come and stretch your arsehole.
Solves everything.
It does. Solves all the problems. Leigh-Ann should do more characters. Well, where have you been the whole time? That's what she does. My tummy is hurting. Did you get your asshole stretched? Says Bitcoin. But Mapello says ANC's assholes have to be big at this point after so many fuckings by the Chinese, Iranians, Russians, Indians, Brazilians, etc. And did you see how they got fucked over the weekend?
How?
Well, so we were going to send Ibrahim Rasool
Yes.
as our ambassador to the United States. And he's already there, apparently.
Yeah.
And he's been, I don't know what he's been doing, trying to patch up what is really a disaster. Anyway, Ibrahim Rasool can't help himself. He's like, Trump is such a white supremacist, blah, blah, blah.
It was in a tweet, I think.
Yeah, and that's not really what an ambassador is meant to do.
Not really, no.
So Marco Rubio, who's the Secretary of State, said, you, Mr. Rasool, and he said, is the R silent? No, he didn't. Someone else did.
Oh.
Ashul. Mr. Ashul, he said, you could basically pack your fucking stuff up and fuck off, which is what he's had to do. So he had to pack up very quickly, put all his shit in a van or whatever, get the hell out of Dodge. And he's heading back to Cape Town to be a nobody again. Because you don't really want to call the president of the country you've been sent as an ambassador to a white supremacist or any of that stuff. Even if, and I say if, even if you think it's true, because you're a diplomat. And part of being diplomatic, you would think.
Yeah.
And he's had that job before, Ibrahim Rasool. So he should be a little more experienced. And it's a good job. Like, you get to live in Washington. We pay for everything because you're an ambassador for our country. So you don't have to pay for a thing. You get to have a nice house. You get to do cool stuff. Yeah, cut ribbons and go to meetings and have drinks parties and ambassador stuff. Being an ambassador must be a very cool job. But the coolest ambassador is the one who gets to go from South Africa to Washington. Anyway, he screwed that up somehow.
Do you think he'll send someone in his place, or is that it for any representation?
Yeah, I think we'll probably get a chance to send someone else, but this is not good. And of course, the ANC were trying their best over the weekend to cover it up and make it look like it wasn't a big deal. It's a big deal. I don't know how many times the Secretary of State has said that an ambassador is persona non grata and that they can pack up and leave. They can get their stuff and go. So it's very embarrassing for us. Does not bode well. You know, these guys are so dumb. Like, if they just played it right, if they were just clever about this, you know what Trump likes? Making a deal. So just make a deal with this guy. Say to him, listen, what do you need that we can help you with? Because there's bound to be some geographical, strategical, I don't know, what you can find something the guy wants, whether he is looking for a place in the desert to test nukes on. I mean, we got vast swathes of the Karoo that we could find some use for it with the Americans. Maybe they need a military base somewhere in the South Atlantic and South Indian Ocean. Like, talk to them. But you guys, instead of doing that and helping our economy to grow, because you know America's by far our largest trading partner too, right? Instead of doing that, you're like looking for trouble with him. And I saw Julius Malema over the weekend calling him a big orange clown. Like, this is not a good way to go with the guy who has the biggest muscle on the planet behind him. It's just dumb. This is like you are a thin, weedy, malnourished kid on the playground. And you walk up to the biggest bully on the playground and you're like, wipe shit under his nose. It's like, this is a dumb move because he's going to catch you and he's going to beat you senseless. This is just dumb.
Yeah.
So I really wish that someone would just talk some sense to these guys. Also, if we play our cards right and they like us, there is no limit to the amount of good that can occur between these countries. America can send us a lot of very, very beneficial trade opportunities. A lot.
Yeah.
Okay. We should just be nice to them. That's all. That's what an ambassador's there to do. Not to look for shit, throw around ideological dirt. Just try to be nice. Try to make it work. Can you do that? And can everyone else just shut up and stop making it worse? God, you know, every time you think the ANC has screwed something up as badly as they possibly can, they find a new way to do it even better. Ugh, anyway. All right, so Leigh-Ann, please start writing that book. Have you made any progress on a book? I mean, your book would be a bestseller.
Gareth,
What are you struggling there with a shoelace? Okay,
I can
baby
barely
steps.
tie my shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone write a book.
Baby steps, everybody. She can't even tie a shoelace, so let's just
You
take
gave
it
me a
slow.
fridge magnet once that said, I'm here, I'm awake. don't push it.
You still haven't.
Yes.
That's hilarious. Okay. Gareth and Leigh-Ann, what a way to start the working week, says Coffee Fiend. Hey, where else would you find stories about stretched assholes? Uncle Duncan's shack. Did I tell you what he said earlier?
I'm sorry. I just got.
His name is Uncle
I just got
Duncan's.
distracted by the comment that's still on the screen.
Which one? Go back to that. Go on. They shaved my balls to work on my chest. Yeah, that's Marv again. I believe this is a true story. I don't know why. There seems to be a lot of shaving of private parts in hospitals.
Maybe they had to put a drain through the groin or something.
I think I think sometimes there's just a pervert who works in the hospital who's like, any chance they get to shave people's balls, especially strangers' balls, they're like, ooh, I'll just shave.
Think of a worse job.
I think there are people who like it. I think I'll shave the balls, but we're operating on his neck. Doesn't matter. I think he needs a ball shaving. That's if you're a creepy pervert, that's what you want. That's the job for you. All right, then I just want to find you Uncle Duncan's shack here quickly because I thought that was quite funny. What a conversation to listen to while having my breakfast. That's about your aunt.
I'm sorry. It always happens.
All right. Switch your phone screen, Gareth, or put it in front of your laptop. There is a bad reflection on it. Oh, okay. Look at that. Thank you. You know what I like about our audience? They pick up on all the details.
They're basically the producers that we never had.
Very, very good. Yeah, well, exactly. Normally you'd have producers telling you this stuff. Oh, my God. All right. It is the equivalent of Leonidas kicking an ambassador down a well. Yeah, except that we are the ambassador that's going down the well. We're not Leonidas from 300.
Not
you never watched that movie?
No.
Okay, well, every guy in the whole world has seen that movie. So, girls, you'll have to watch it at some point. Neil de Beer made a great comment. We are stuck in the tiger's mouth, and instead of calming the tiger down, we're kicking it in the nuts. Yeah, that's about right. Judas says ANC has now gone to Europe for business. Oh, yeah, that's another thing that happened. Ursula von der Fuckface. What's her name? Ursula von der Leyen from the EU was here on Thursday last week.
Yeah.
And she came and had a big dinner with Cyril. And they're trying to colonize us again. But the only people who don't see it are the ANC. The ANC don't see anything with regard to anything that's going on right now as bad. Everything, because they're involved, right? So there are a lot of people in the ANC who go, oh, the worst thing that ever happened to South Africa was colonialism. But every time any Russian or Chinese or European sets foot in this country with enough money in their pocket, and they promise to give or to loan that money to the ANC's like, sure, whatever you need, come on down. Can we have some gunpowder and a little bit of sugar, and then you can have the whole of KZN. That's what they're basically doing. Again, these guys are so dumb that they have learnt nothing from history. Anyway, yeah. Ursula von der Leyen from the EU said that they want to work on just energy policy. And that means not just energy policy. They want to talk about a whole lot of things. Essentially, she's got the government of South Africa to commit themselves to, I don't know, windmills and solar farms and a whole lot of shit we don't need because we've got coal. We brought up with Newcastle earlier. We've got a ton of coal in this country. A lot. We can keep burning coal for the next 1,000 years and we won't run out. But the EU wants us to stop doing that. They want to buy our coal so they can burn it in their shitty power plants in Germany or wherever else. But we shouldn't have our coal. No. We must spend a whole lot of our and their money putting solar and wind and everything else in. Explain that to me. It's completely illogical. We should burn coal because we have it. It's here. It's cheap. Instead, they want us to do all these other things. It's completely nefarious. It's very weird. They're basically exporting their bad things and importing the good things.
Mm.
That's all they're doing. And somehow South Africa thinks that they've won from this. And by the way, the other thing that the EU is doing with this is they're kind of running around in a post Donald Trump second term world, thumbing their nose at him. So it's a way for them to say, look, we've got friends and our friends prefer us to you, which is, again, such a dumb move from South Africa. I just wish there was someone with, you know how in a really stupid person's head, there are two cockroaches on a string
Yes.
and they're balancing?
They're called tors.
A tor.
And they survive on corks,
Right.
which float on the top of your brain liquid.
That's right. So those two
And then
little...
if you cut open the top of the head and you swing it back, there are a whole lot of strings, right? And those strings come with different instructions.
And
So,
these tors
yes,
grab hold of the strings.
of the strings. Except when there are too many instructions, it causes like tidal waves inside the
In
head.
the whole Department of International Relations and Cooperation, DIRCO as it's called, it seems that they're all using just
tor.
one of these between them all, because they can't figure out this shit, which I've just explained in, I don't know, 5 minutes. They can't figure that out. Anyway, it's just amazing. Really, what it boils down to is if you come to South Africa with enough money, the ANC will do anything you want. They are slaves to cash. Okay, so all the things that they say, they don't really believe those things. They're not so worried about slavery as long as you're paying. They're not so worried about colonialism as long as you give them. Why you never give me? That's basically it. Russia will change his opinion on the ANC. Oh, yeah, for sure. Get Hanan on. I don't think this cockroach nonsense is scientifically accurate. We'll find out. He knows these things. In fact, is it a good time to go to Dr. Hanan? Okay, you let me know when. So I'm fascinated, Leigh-Ann, when you started your study of these tors in people's heads that control their brains.
Entomology, it was called.
How much experience in this do you have? Because you say the way you explained that you open up the head and you can see
It's like a lobotomy. Yes. It was only a 1-day course for 2 hours because it's not very difficult to understand. But I got my certificate.
Okay, so basically that allows you to communicate with politicians.
Exactly.
What an incredible gift.
Do not give too many instructions.
Fantastic. The ANC is willing to be anyone's cuck as long as you pay. That's exactly right, Lee. They're hyenas. They'll eat anything, says Tracy. They get green credits from South Africa and then they burn coal to balance the cards. Yeah, I'm afraid it makes no sense, right? And the EU also don't have a very bright future ahead of them if they continue to piss off the US, because Russia already hates them. China doesn't have any particular preference. China's very clever at just playing everybody's friend.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, as long as they have access to your market, then they just parasitize on that. It's just unbelievable. International relations is it's simpler and easier to work out now than it's ever been. And yet it seems to be confounding so many people. They're just like, I don't understand. It's the tors in their heads.
I mean, you get lazy tors as well.
I love this. You've become an expert. You're our resident expert in like how stupid people's brains work.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. All right. Let's go to Dr. Hanan and find out what he has to say to us this morning. He's only just joined, James. James, did you bother talking to him this weekend to prepare this at all? So he knew. Okay. Because James also invited 2 guests this morning who are only meant to be here on Wednesday. I mean, you basically you booked people for today's show who are only meant to be here on Wednesday.
I mean, they went through a lot of effort to be here.
Oh, it's terrific to have them here, but it's the wrong day. Oh my God, what a disaster. Hello, Dr. Hanan. How are you?
Hello, guys. How you doing?
Can you believe the kind of incompetence that we have to put up with here?
I can. I can.
So Leigh-Ann was just explaining something, and I didn't know this, but apparently it's all scientific fact that there are these two little beetles that live in very stupid people's heads, and they're on corks and they float around and then they pull strings, and that's how really dumb people make their decisions. I didn't know this, but Leigh-Ann studied it in a course. It took her a couple of minutes, and now she's got a certificate and everything. Basically, it allows her to speak stupid.
Yeah, it is a scientific fact.
Okay, well, that's
I told
amazing.
you.
I didn't know. I learn new things all the time when you're on, Dr.
I
Hanan.
know, mind blowing, but it's true.
It is true. For very stupid people, that's how it works. I thought they had like a brain with
Nah, don't be ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous.
All right, so let's look at a couple of things here. We got very, very distracted last week by a lot of, I suppose you could call it, personal problems that Leigh-Ann and I foisted on you, which is very unfair. But today I want to talk about something that we can all get involved in, and that is performance and mindset, a way to train the brain for confidence and focus. And I think so many of us wake up in the morning and we go, I'm gonna get things done today. I want to be an effective, useful, decision-making and action-oriented person. And then somewhere in the day, it gets off track. And before you know it, you're just going through the motions, doing what you did the previous week. And it's frustrating as hell because we all want to be the best version of ourselves. We all love to achieve things. I was listening to something over the weekend about how happiness comes from pursuing the goal, not attaining the goal, but pursuing a goal. It's having an aim and being oriented towards that aim. I mean, it got very philosophical, but I want to know how we even begin on things like this, because to me that made a lot of sense, that the happiness that you can have in life comes from pursuing a goal and making slow and incremental changes to your life. Do you think that's about right?
So that is incredibly profound, and it's incredibly important to know that the true happiness and purpose doesn't come from the attainment. It comes from the pursuit of a goal. So maybe just a little story. When Alan Watts, a famous philosopher, was asked, what's the meaning of life? He gave the following analogy, which I half agree with, and I'll tell you why I half agree with it now. He says, we are socialized to believe that happiness comes from the attainment of goals. So he says, well, when you're at school, the universe promises you that happiness will come once you finish school. And you finish school and the universe goes, not just yet, when you get your first degree. And then you get your first degree and the universe goes, your second degree. And you get your second degree and the universe goes, wait 1 second, when you get your first job. And then you keep on chasing and chasing and chasing and chasing and chasing, and you get to age 65 and you realize that this gift that's in front of you, you open it up and you realize that it's empty. And he says, just like a piece of music, you don't wait for the song to be over to have happiness, you dance while the music is playing. Which is very nice, and sounds very philosophical and very profound. But where I half agree with it is that the only way for the music to be playing is for you to be chasing. Being in the moment requires you to move forward, which sounds almost the opposite. Being in the moment requires you to move forward. The signature, the foundation of depression is being still. The more still you are, the more depressed you get. So you got to get the music going by chasing goals in terms of career, chasing goals in terms of financial security, chasing goals in terms of your relationships and your health. And by the chasing of the goals, you're able to be still. If you ever think about moments when you were in flow, really happy, really in control, it's because I assure you, you were on your best date, you were doing something really interesting at work, you were engaging in a wonderful relationship, you were at the gym chasing, whatever your goal is. Whenever you chase, it gives you the permission to be in the moment. So being in the moment is exactly the same, or comes with chasing your goal for sure.
So it is kind of profound, and I'm glad that you acknowledge that too, because I thought it was when I heard it, and then I tried to apply that to my own life. I think a lot of people get caught up, though, in comparing themselves to other people and in seeing what other people have and being envious of that, and imagining in some parallel universe that if they just had that stuff, if they just drove that car, if they just had that job, if they just looked like that, or if they just had the family or the foundation that those people had, that they would be happy. And that's not where happiness comes from, right?
Definitely not.
I mean,
the moment you compare yourself to anybody else's lane, well, first of all, it's not realistic. I mean, what are you really comparing yourself to? Because we look at other people's lanes and we think that's the whole story. We think we know how they wake up in the morning and how they feel when they're sick and how they feel when they, have a fight with their kids and how they feel, but we don't see that. We only see a snapshot. It's like watching a movie and taking a snapshot and judging the whole movie based on that snapshot. So you're comparing your real life to a snapshot of somebody else's, which is just unrealistic. So you shouldn't compare. You should chase, and you should compete against the better version of yourself. And that's where the goals come in. So set goals, but chase in your own lane.
And then there's something else that you said there that I thought's interesting, and that is that depression comes from stillness. I'm going to paraphrase you here, so correct me where I get it wrong. But having a little bit of ambition is probably a good cure for most depression.
Definitely. It's impossible for somebody to chase in something that resonates with their spirit and still be depressed.
Yeah.
The common denominator amongst the people that are depressed is that they tell you that they're stuck, they're still, they can't move to the next step, and they don't have a next step.
Yeah.
The moment in my practice, the moment I help people set goals when it comes to their well-being and their health and their relationships and their career and their ambition. So to paraphrase you, it's not a little bit of ambition that cures depression. Let's create a lot of ambition to create depression. That's the best antidepressant in the world, ambition. So the moment you create goals, but again, it's not goals for somebody else. Don't chase somebody else's goals. Don't chase somebody else's dream, because that's the definition of suffering. Chase your own goals and your own dreams. But it's very difficult for people to set goals because people don't want to fail. So people would rather kind of wing their lives. But how many times do I say it? If you want to be if you want to create your own purpose, you want to create your own goals. If you want to create your own mission, you want to actually live out your own goals that resonate with your spirit. So go and create that.
Okay, but it is also just a game. I mean, if happiness comes from, and happiness is such a big deal to humans that it is included in the Declaration of Independence of the United States, the one that was written by Thomas Jefferson, right? The right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Not happiness, but the pursuit of happiness. The reason that's so important is because it sounds so cliched, but it's in the journey, not the destination, right? So if
it's in the draw, for sure.
Yeah, so if happiness is the goal for anybody, and who doesn't want to be happy? I've never met anyone who goes, I really feel like being unhappy today. Said no one ever. So if that's the goal, the pursuit of happiness and the journey that delivers this happiness, then it's actually just a fun game. I mean, like, being alive is such an unbelievably rare outcome for any organic creature. The fact that you're alive, that you are conscious, and that the pursuit of happiness is a goal, have fun. Just, you cannot possibly screw it up so badly that you can't find happiness along the way. This is like the easiest victory condition of all, is the pursuit of happiness, right?
Gareth, 100%. Life has got so much to offer, and you should really go and pursue that. And it's in the pursuit, the drive. But the one thing that's missing out of the whole statement is the declaration that you have to take responsibility. Nobody can pursue happiness for you. You got to get up, you got to pull up your socks, you got to create a plan. And how many times do I say it? If you're not the chess player of your life, you're a pawn in someone else's.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be the chess player of your life. But again, people don't want to fail. They don't want to let go. They don't want to sacrifice, and therefore they don't want to take responsibility and set their own goals. But if you do not set your own goals, you become a pawn in somebody else's game. You become their pursuit of their happiness.
Yeah.
So if you are not your own pursuit, you don't pursue your own happiness, you let somebody else pursue and use you in their own journey. So take responsibility, because yes, life is filled with a lot of fun, a lot of laughter,
Yeah, it's
plenty of adventure, but you got to take
It's
responsibility.
good to be alive. It's fun. So here's Mapelo.
Very
Let's
much.
just deal with his personal issue at the moment, because, I mean, when we've got a renowned psychologist on the line, why the hell not? So Mapelo says, Dr. Hanan, how do you deal with a family member who's very delusional? He has a false sense of reality of themselves and everyone around them. Anyone who disagrees with them becomes their enemy.
So nothing teaches somebody a life's lesson better than life. You can lie to yourself all you want, but gravity still exists. So you can pretend something doesn't exist, but the universe will just punish you over and over again. The truth is, some people don't want to listen. And to this particular listen, I would say, ask yourself, can I get through to this person? How do I get through to this person? Do I go for a coffee? Do I go for, do I go for lunch with them? Do I sit them down? Do I get maybe their families involved? And if they're open to communication and conversation, then go for it. And if they're not, then rather invest your time and energy into other people that create value, and let life teach them the lesson that you want to teach them, because life, as I said, is the great equalizer.
Yeah, and there's always plenty of suffering to come. So just get on with it. Like, don't look for that. That'll find you.
Definitely.
Right?
That's part of the human condition, for sure.
Okay. All right. So there's a lot of good and a lot of bad in what we've discussed this morning. Some people are going to be very depressed to hear this, and some people are going to be very excited to hear this. But really, like, it's so much fun. Let's just get on with it. Life is great.
But you know what, Gareth? Like, I don't even see it as good or bad. That's just life. Don't marry any moment. Like, if good happens, enjoy it, move on. If bad happens, just grab the lessons and move forward. How many times do I say this? The chin up approach as opposed to the chin down. The chin down is, what's wrong with me? Why me? Why me? Why me? Victim.
Mm-hmm.
The chin up is, what do I do next? How do I move forward? How do I take this lesson and make myself better? So good and bad, that's life's condition. That's a human condition. That is part and parcel of being alive. You just got to move forward and create value that resonate with you. Go create goals, go chase, go pursue happiness.
Love it. All right. So that's ended up being quite an important and, as Dr. Hanan described it earlier, profound realization for us this morning. Thanks, Doc. We will catch up with you in a week's time. Very good.
See you
Have a
then.
good Monday.
Bye-bye.
Have a good week. Yeah,
Bye.
start of a brand new week. By the way, can you feel how summer's done?
I feel
Go on.
I feel foolish because somebody recommended while we were doing our strategy sessions that we start our autumn content in South Africa's March. And I thought, no. South Africa's a bit different to the Northern Hemisphere. We're still going to have heat waves in March.
No. Listen, this has been a very wet.
You never know.
It's been a very wet, and I hate to talk about the weather because it is boring, but this summer there's been a lot of rain. Not a huge amount of dry, sunny days, a lot of rain.
Yeah.
You can feel, especially in Gauteng, the climate is changing. So anyone who's ever said I'm a climate change denier, go fuck yourself, because
something's happening.
No, here I am telling you that it's different. We've almost got like a tropical weather system now.
Mm.
It rains. Yesterday, it came bucketing down in the afternoon. So much so that I was like, what the hell is that? It was rain. And it feels to me like everything is so lush and so damp. It feels like foresty, if that makes any sense. Right? And this is meant to be...
Well, we live in what's called the high veld.
Yeah,
which is dry.
The semi-arid.
Arid.
Yeah. And now we've got like this crazy weather system.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's artificial or if it's just part of a much bigger weather pattern that occurs with or without humans. Who knows about that stuff? There are people who are more qualified than I am to comment on it. But it definitely feels like summer's done.
Mm.
We're now moving into autumn. You can see the leaves are starting to change color as we speak. And before you know it, we'll be in those cold months of winter that we all hate so much. Well, I certainly do. And
it's
it's just around the corner.
Before, we'll do it again.
It's gonna be fine. But it does feel Like suddenly you can't sleep with the windows open.
Yeah,
You
like
know?
maybe do not sleep with the fan on anymore.
No, that's a surefire way to start feeling sick. It's going to happen. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got lots to do, including meeting a guy who hangs around with lions, actual lions, and he's still alive. So we want to talk to him while he's still alive. All of that and more on the way.
'Cause we need a change to protect democracy. We gotta stand up if we wanna see a future for the territory. Nothing left that we can do. It's the voice we want. Honesty, it's the voice we want. Integrity, it's the voice we want.
Be like, yeah, just only a picture, then I'll send you maybe $500, whatever.
There are fetishes that people have. Toes, they are toe only fans people. Like OnlyFans woman just shoots her toes and people buy the
They
toe
get paid, ne?
They get paid for toes. Have you found men like wanting to pay to see your breasts or sexually for your
Yeah, I
breasts?
get that a lot.
fetishes like that.
What
Cause-
happened?
No, I just only got a DM on TikTok.
Yeah.
You know, I have like, I think 1,000 messages on TikTok.
Sure.
Yeah.
For
Then,
guys saying
yeah, please, send me your boobs for $800. So I'm like, baby, look.
$800.
That's like 16,000 rand, 15,000 rand.
Is it 50,000?
Gee whiz, and you got 1,000 of those.
And Sister Bettina's
Yeah.
looking at you right now like, hey,
I want gigantic.
where's my grandmother to sweep these things?
We've commodified women's bodies. So, like, even something that for you is a medical condition. Like, how crazy is that?
People are so
It's
crazy.
a medical condition, and people are like, I'll pay to see that. Like, who's gonna
Guys,
be like,
there's
yo, you've got a huge
OnlyFans
growth on your
women
back?
fall pregnant. I'm not saying they fall pregnant to do this, but pregnant women go and do OnlyFans while they're pregnant because there's guys who want to see a pregnant woman doing certain things to.
I'm the victim. Yeah. Of potholes. I drive sports cars. You can't fix potholes when they are wet. You cannot work on a road surface that is wet. The biggest problem with people complaining at this particular time, it happens every year. From December up until February, there's heavy rains that are happening. Yes. Now, water is the biggest enemy of roads, of asphalt. What we would call tar.
Yes, it washes
So
the roads
that is
away.
why you would find a lot of potholes during this time. And unfortunately, you can't fix potholes when they are wet. You cannot work on a road surface that is wet. So which is why the potholes will take longer to fix at this particular time.
Of course.
But once the rain has stopped, you will see JRA working. But it doesn't mean we do not work. We do respond where it gets dry. The teams go out and they go and fix. The only work that we do during a rainy time or when it rains is unblocking of stormwater drains and so on and so on. But the road infrastructure we cannot touch when it's wet because it will be waste of asphalt.
Okay, let's get cracking. We have lots to do. It is Monday morning. And by the way, it's a short week this week. We've got Human Rights Day on Friday, which is a public holiday, so you don't have to work.
Very good.
Long weekend.
Lots of public holidays coming up.
I know, but I do love them when they're on a Friday or a Monday. It just feels so much tidier. So if you are planning to do anything fun this weekend, let us know about it. Join us in the comments section. And by the way, if you're here already, you may as well just like and subscribe. It's not going to cost you a lot. You could just do it while you're watching me. So I'm just going to sit here and give everyone a minute to like and subscribe. Are you ready?
Right.
I'm waiting. There we go. Was that so hard? If you didn't do it, I'll just do this every single show going forward until everybody gets in line. A little bit of discipline on a Monday morning. It won't hurt you. All right, let's get cracking. So, a couple of things in the news. By the way, we hope the lion tamer guy gets in here because he's apparently, his GPS says his ETA is.
Computer says no.
Yeah.
Not because he's been held back by an incident.
It's not GPSing.
Yes.
It's telling him that he'll get here at like 5 to 8, which is a bit late.
A little bit, yeah. Usually wrapping up by then.
I just noticed how many acronyms I used in that last sentence. His GPS is telling him that his ETA is. It's like, who talks like that? If you'd spoken to anyone 100 years ago like that, they would have chopped your head off. Said, what are you talking about? Speak like English, the language we all agreed, right?
Yeah, I do find myself Googling, what is DTP
Yeah.
in marketing?
Yes. I know you need to know these things.
Yeah.
And people just use them. Look at this quickly. Oh, I hate corporate speak. Okay, corporate speak is the worst. And there is a lot of that nonsense in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this. Just read this. If this doesn't boil your blood and infuriate you like it did me, then there's something wrong with you. You're obviously so deep into corporate culture that you don't understand anymore. Take a look at this. Talk about dumb acronyms. Let's circle back and blue sky this paradigm shift by leveraging our bandwidth to drill down on the low-hanging fruit, but only if we can move the needle without boiling the ocean. At the end of the day, I hate that so much, at the end of the day, and South Africans use it all the time. At the end of the day, as Nas used to say, we need to disrupt the synergy of our core competencies and pivot the deliverables into a thought leadership ecosystem that aligns with our key performance indicators. If we can get all stakeholders to buy in and touch base asynchronously, we'll have the secret sauce to parachute this initiative into a high-octane, game-changing deep dive that maximizes our ROI on the bleeding edge of the value proposition.
Okay, I think I'm in deep because that sounded like English to me. Because that's how much it is used around me.
You actually understood all of that?
Yeah, I knew what it meant.
Yes, that's a lot of shit, though.
It's a lot.
Huh?
It's a lot. KPIs and ROI.
Oh my! It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. Anyway, if you talk like that, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed. Also, learn to use language that ordinary people use, okay? You're out of touch. You're in touch in your corporate little job, but you're out of touch with humanity. And also, that's the kind of stuff that we were talking with Hanan about earlier that will drive you into depression. Don't talk like that, please. Okay, so apparently we have, in the last 3 months, 5,000 abductions, kidnappings in this country alone. I had no idea we had such a big kidnapping problem. First of all, how come if 5,000 people are being abducted in 3 months in this country, how come it isn't a bigger story? I mean, this is clearly a very, very bad thing. And clearly it's affecting a lot of people. 5,000 people being abducted. That's thousands of families who will be affected by this. How is this happening and we're not aware of it every single day?
Yeah.
And people aren't thinking, oh my God, I could be abducted tomorrow.
Yeah.
Who are the victims? Like, for God's sake, give me some context for this, Leigh-Ann.
No, it's crazy. I mean, we do pick up on it about a KZN businessman being kidnapped. Usually businessmen, people with money, but we're not hearing of 5,000 of them within 3 months. And this is actually a very good article written by IOL in conjunction with Mike Borlase, who we know is at the scene, at the forefront of
of course he is.
Kidnappings.
Mike Borlase is the guy who looks like, well, let's just put it this way. You're not going to mess with him.
No, it's kind of like the Terminator.
He looks like, he He looks like the villain in a superhero movie.
In the meantime, he's the hero.
But he's actually the hero. Yeah. Okay. We must get him in here one morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So tell me.
So 5 years ago, 1,919 people were kidnapped over 3 months. Fast forward to today, and it's 4,748 during the same time frame. Apparently, our national police minister has acknowledged this problem.
Yeah.
They know that it's escalating into a major problem. I can go through the stats, but they're just self-explanatory. Obviously, Gauteng has the highest number. Surprisingly, in second place is KZN, and then going down the chain. But
sure,
he has broken up into a document on why there's been this increase in kidnappings, right?
Yeah.
So, according to Bolhuis, several factors contribute to the rise in kidnappings. Number one, economic hardship.
Okay.
Obviously, kidnapping, you can make money off of it by demanding a ransom. Number two, organized crime. Again, kidnapping for ransom for organized crime syndicates, where in particular wealthy families are targeted. Political and social instability. This is down to weak governance, corruption, inadequate law enforcement. Human trafficking is a big one.
Yeah.
Some kidnappings are linked to human trafficking networks. Copycat crimes, media coverage of high-profile kidnappings can inspire copycat crimes by other criminals. Perhaps that's one of the reasons why we don't hear about it that much. The media has to also
have to be careful about reporting on it.
Careful about over-reporting on things. And then a weak judicial system because perpetrators believe that they won't be caught up and put behind bars.
Okay, but do we know who are most at risk here? I mean, when it comes to like sex trafficking, it's obviously girls.
Yes.
Right. And these would be younger girls. I mean, they're going to like abduct an old bag to take her into sex trafficking. But who are the main targets for these things? You say wealthy people, obviously.
In South Africa, it's
but we don't have extremely wealthy people. There are obviously a couple of them, but they probably have protection and security like you can't believe. Like here's Carl, who says well-off Muslims and Portuguese people are being kidnapped. It's crazy. These poorer butchers and bottle store owners are huge targets.
Yeah.
Really?
So, I mean, if you think about how small people who perpetrate these crimes, how small their communities are, in their tiny community where they live and try to survive, somebody like a bottle store owner is a big deal. That's like the rich person in the community. So it's all about perspective, really. So it's not necessarily people targeting families who have decades worth of millions.
Okay, so in other words, you just have to be rich compared to everyone else.
Yes, yeah.
Holy hell. It's unbelievable. So apparently we've normalized a lot of things, says Mapelo. Crime is one of those things, even this type of crime. I think that's a good point. South African criminals are learning from Brazil, says Clint. Easy money, stealing people, formula, typical third world things. So as you said also, economic pressure, right? And our company literally insures us for kidnapping, says Azalea. There are places we cannot live or visit without prior consent. It's crazy. So obviously this means you've got to be aware. It's like, when hijacking was the most prevalent crime in South Africa, we all had to learn to be observant all the time, to pay attention. Yeah, to pay attention at the traffic lights, to pay attention at stop streets, to not slow down at night if you could see an intersection was quiet and you didn't want to stop as a woman on your own. So now we have to develop a whole new set of skills, in the words of Liam Neeson from Taken, which make us aware of imminent danger in our immediate environment. I think this must be something that we teach people. That I don't often think about kidnapping, but after this, I'm probably going to.
We all know someone who's been hijacked. We all know someone who's had a house break-in while they were there.
Right.
But I don't know anyone who's been kidnapped.
I don't either.
And these stats are rising, and maybe soon we will. I mean, I remember when it was quite shocking to see on a road sign that had been made, printed, or whatever, manufactured to say hijacking hotspot. It's like, that's crazy. Surely it took more effort to put the sign together and to figure out why there's so many hijackings here.
So
And
do
this
we
could
know
be eventually a
kidnapping hotspot? Can you imagine? I wonder how we can put steps into place that will just make us more aware and more vigilant for this kind of thing. Because this does worry me. Who are the kidnappers, says Hugh. Does anyone know? Are they Nigerian doctors and engineers? No.
There are
Some of
syndicates, big organized crime syndicates.
Some of these butchers are loaded. One of my clients could sell 3 tons of boerewors over a weekend, and it's all cash money. No, he's being serious,
No,
says
it's
Gary.
so true.
Carl says, yep. On the Portuguese community forums, there have been loads in the last few months. One guy was returned yesterday after about 3 weeks. I would never have thought we'd get to the point where a butcher would be the target of a kidnapping syndicate.
Yeah.
And clearly this is something that's going on. I
Well-
keep mace in my door well, and I don't mean pepper spray. I mean a medieval club,
Jeez. With the
says Congo
spikes
Chris.
on the ball.
Yeah. Bitcoin Bot says at the age of 3, I almost got abducted in KZN. They wanted to use my bits for muti, but gave me back after they saw there was very little to work with. Today, they won't think twice with my 3 legs. All right. So, Bitcoin Bot found an appropriate way to boast about the size of his genitalia. Some people get kidnapped by the butchers for mince, says
Oh,
Mapelo.
no.
Stop it. Stop with the lies. Okay, well, thanks, Leanne. Now you
So-
made us all paranoid.
Well, Mike Borlhays does have some tips on how you can safeguard yourself.
I'm all ears. Bring it on.
Okay. Personal safety measures. Avoid high risk areas. How do we know where these areas are?
Yeah, exactly.
They're
Tell
areas
us, for
with high
God's sake.
crime rates.
Okay, so
Avoid
don't go
traveling through
into
them.
don't
at
drive
night.
into Rosettenville at night. Okay, that would be a good start.
Vary your routine is very important. We've always known this from house robberies.
Yes,
Change up your routines to avoid being predictable.
right.
Stay alert. Be aware of your surroundings and avoid distractions like using your phone in public. Travel in groups, whether you're walking or driving.
Hmm.
Secure your home, CCTV, etc., to deter potential kidnappers. Vehicle safety, lock your doors, keep your doors locked and windows rolled up. Check your surroundings before entering or exiting your vehicle, and avoid stopping in isolated areas. And of course, there's financial and digital security as well. He has 2 points on that. Limit sharing personal information. This is sharing personal information about your wealth, your lifestyle.
Yeah,
on
but
social
people
media.
are so stupid, right? They post stuff about how rich they are on social media. You dummy. You're asking for these kidnappers to pay attention to you. Stop. Just stop. You're an idiot. No one cares how rich you are.
And then use secure communication. So be cautious about discussing sensitive matters like your finances over the phone or online, because we are being monitored.
Wow. Okay. A whole new thing to be scared of.
Damn.
Apparently, Veronica says one of the kidnaps happened here in Brits. It was the fellow business partners of that person. Shush. Good people to be in business with, those. This is common sense, ass, says Signet. So obviously Signet agreeing with you. Makes sense. Okay. And Uncle Duncan's shack is back with the fear of very unpleasant punishment discourages crime. We know what that means. Yeah, you see, I mean, also in this country, our police just don't have the investigative power that they once had. And our criminal justice system is not set up to actually make people afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And I promise you, all you need to do is go and see what our prisons are like to know that it's not worth getting into them. But for most people on the outside, that's not a consideration. So we maybe need to make the punishment for this kind of thing a lot harsher. I mean, I would sort this out if I were in charge of the justice system, which, again, you can thank your lucky stars I'm not. I would be a horrific, monstrous minister of justice and whatever other powers I would need to be able to enact the kinds of medieval shit that's going on in my head. But I would find kidnappers and cut off limbs. So you would know when you're shopping next to a guy at Pick and Pay because he had one arm, you'd know that he was a kidnapper. It would advertise to everyone that that person had been convicted of kidnapping and that their hand or their arm or some part of them that was visible had gone, that they were the sort of person who'd partaken in that kind of crime. And therefore the rest of us, and I know it's brutal and it's medieval and it's to some people uncivilized, but kidnapping people is uncivilized and brutal and medieval. So we need to make appropriate punishments happen.
I'm sure banks would be incredibly aware of this happening because, you've got to get hold of vast amounts of cash in a short amount of time through your bank.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to hear their
Well,
standpoint
I mean,
too.
we can surely, because all money is digital now, right? I mean, most transactions occur digitally. So you can follow the money to accounts, and as much as they move it to the next account and the next account, there should be a paper trail, a digital signature. This stuff should not be difficult to track, especially if it's large amounts of money. It should be flagged on all kinds of systems. So how are you going to get your money unless it's in cash in a duffel bag, in which case you still have to be able to get that cash from somewhere. We must be able to trace these, and then you find out what the destination of the money is, and you go after those people. How hard can it be? You just need a couple of good forensic detectives who have training in, being able to trace money on digital platforms, and you should be able to find it quite easily. So there's nowhere to hide for these guys. There's less places to hide. Gareth, I've been saying this for years now, bring back public pillories. Yeah, again, like put someone who's a rapist, for example, put them in stocks in the center of town and let all the angry women on Instagram and Twitter who've had bad relationships come and throw fruit at these oaks. Really, I don't see a problem with that. They're not going to die from being put in the stocks, okay? And if they did, they're a rapist anyways. No one's going to miss them. But these are the kinds of punishments that have worked for thousands of years. They are discouraging to those people who are thinking of doing bad things, because who the hell wants to end up naked in the stocks in the middle of Johannesburg with passers-by throwing rotten fruit at them? No one. That's shameful and embarrassing in a way that prison isn't.
Yeah, you see, the way things are at the moment, kidnappers are getting away with it. Think about their first kidnapping, getting away with it, and the rush that you get when you receive that money.
And then you think, I'll do this again. Of course, gives you the best dopamine hit of all.
Yeah.
Bring back the unalived penalty. I don't know what that is, Matthew, but it sounds scary as hell.
Death penalty.
The unalived penalty.
So because you can't say the word death on a lot of platforms, otherwise your
oh shit,
video won't.
This means this video is screwed.
Yeah, so you call it unaliving.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm not familiar with these rules. I still speak like a human. Congo
good.
Chris says our organized crime is more powerful than our government. It's been that way for a while now. There's no political will to fix it because most of the politicians are complicit. Yeah, that's probably true. If poorer veggie shop owners can ensure a supply of up-to-date potatoes, they can also reduce their risk, says Signet. Okay, Cully says you should also tattoo his face to say that he's a kidnapper. Otherwise, people will think everyone with one arm is a kidnapper. Well, just look after your arms. Just look after your arms.
I mean, look, there's a kidnapper. In the meantime, shame. She was like,
meanwhile,
she lost her arm in a bistro factory.
Or he's just a poorer butcher who cut it off on
At
the
a slip of the
saw.
knife.
Yeah. That's why they target people dealing in cash. Okay, maybe. I don't know about that. And then here we've got Mapelo saying, sorry. Dave says those women will throw more than fruit. The Arabs chop your hands off when you steal. Well, there is a form of Sharia law, which, correct, Bitcoin, but has a lot of these very ancient punishments tied into. Sponkochle says that was the reason behind South Africa's grey listing. They say our banking system lacks strong enough controls to identify such activities. I don't know how that's possible. We are so ahead of everyone else in terms of online, internet, and app banking. Like, we've got a very, very first world system. There are places in America where people still write checks on paper and then go to the bank with a check, and then the bank moves your money because of a piece of paper with a signature on it.
You compare that to the speed of which we can move rands and cents between our accounts.
I mean, I can pay people on an app.
Yeah.
And it's faster than anything that the bank could have. Even if you phoned in the old days, I was talking to someone about this over the weekend. You used to phone your banker or your bank manager if you had like a really big transaction to do. And there was a person, there was a man.
Yes.
And the man would like literally move money from here to here with lots of papers. It's unnecessary now.
We only knew our bank balance once a month when we got a statement in the post.
Yes, and you
the rest
needed
of the time we were keeping little notes in our book, and
yeah, correct.
The check counterfoils would help us calculate how much we were spending.
Anyone who's listening to us now, like, a check? What the hell's a check? There might also be a link for people working within the banks selling information to would-be kidnappers, as they do have access to how liquid people are. I have no doubt, Steve, that there are crooked people in the banking system, but I think it's more opportunistic than people would imagine. Everybody has this fear that organized crime is really organized and that they know everything. And often they don't. They just see an opportunity and they take advantage in that moment. So a lot of these criminals are not just hoping that something will happen that will give them an opportunity to steal from you or to commit some heinous crime. Often they just stumble upon these things and then they go, okay, well, this is something I'm going to take advantage of, because they're bad people already. It's not as if it's a planned, plotted Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
Most of these guys are not that clever. They're really not.
Sure.
And the ones that pull it off, a lot of luck. And adrenaline, as you said earlier, it's like this high. I think I should be made corrections minister, says Congo Chris. I have some creative ideas for dealing with crime. I'm telling you now, if we had to implement a couple of, and I know that, there are going to be human rights and constitutional lawyers who'll say, oh no, this is completely wrong. And I get it. It's probably never going to happen. But I do believe a couple of creative punishments, like putting Congo Chris in charge of correctional services, a couple of creative punishments with him in place there, it would immediately stop a lot of these problems. Really. Because I don't care what the lawyers and the academics tell you. Actually, putting people off doing crime is a big category, okay? And it could do a lot of good. Most of the people who commit crime do it because they think they won't get caught.
Yeah.
And if you can put them off of doing something really heinous by showing them what happens to someone else who did that, they'll think twice, 3 times. They might not even do it. And that would be a good reason to at least try some of these more creative punishments.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we're getting stuck in this. So that's something scary that I didn't know about this morning that we now know about. Another thing that you have to think about is kidnapping. All right. There's a new Netflix drama called Adolescence. And apparently it's got this incredible one-shot technique, which you got to tell us about. Did I tell you that I watched a new series? Last week I spoke about it here. It's called Barbarians.
Oh, yes.
It's in German and Latin, and it's set in the early 1st century.
Okay.
Pretty amazing. I mean, I absolutely loved it. I've watched both seasons already. Can't believe that I've gone through both and that there isn't more for me to watch.
Yeah.
And I love these history series. So that's my vibe. But this Adolescence, what is this all about? Because I did get into, remember what you told me about Euphoria all those years ago.
Did I?
Like, yeah, it's about, 4 years ago now that was out? 4 years? Euphoria, that was the one with, what's her name? Zendaya.
Oh, no, I don't think it was me.
I think it was you. Okay, anyway, I watched that, enjoyed that. Pretty wild. Is Adolescence in that sort of lane?
So
I don't know anything about this show.
Okay, it's a short series, but it has 4 episodes. Each episode is, I think, over an hour long. Each episode is shot in one shot.
Oh, you mean they do one take?
There's one take. There's no cutting.
Oh.
There is no time for venues to change or anything like that. So basically what would happen is before an episode, there would be weeks of rehearsal. So the actors and the crew have had to practice this as if it's a theatrical production that's running live.
Okay.
So it starts off, it starts off with 2 people in a car, right? And that camera never changes. It follows them using either drones or something attached to the car, follows them to the next, place where the action's going to be.
And they never go cut.
No, everyone else has had to have set up at that point, and the cameras come in as if it's been live all along.
How is this useful to the audience? Because we don't really give a shit how the sausage is made.
So the effect that it has is that it creates this feeling of you can't take your eyes off of it. There's never a moment for your mind to shut off where there's a change of scenery for you to be able to go, okay, let me go and do this now. You can't stop watching
So
it.
edge of your seat stuff.
Yeah. It feels like you're there. It feels very real. And it can feel quite claustrophobic at times. Sometimes when you want to get out of the room or escape a situation, or stop watching for a bit, you can't do that. It draws you in. It's unbelievable.
And what's the basic idea of the story?
So the plot line is a 13-year-old boy who's accused of stabbing a girl to death.
I don't think I'll watch this. Is that the kid?
Yeah. And it's the psychology behind him, etc. I think it's so brilliantly shot. So that little kid, by the way.
Yeah.
I think one of the not monologues, but that scene where he's sitting with the psychologist, that is about 35 minutes of him just talking to her.
Oh God, that sounds exhausting.
But like at one point his throat gets dry and he actually says, my throat's getting dry. There's stuff that's woven in. They're into the plot.
It does
that
sound
occur naturally.
Okay. I don't mean to poo-poo on your parade.
Yeah.
Okay. I think a lot of this is like actors and directors and cameramen and crew and people behind the scenes trying to do something different and interesting. And it's about them more than it is about the audience of the story. I hope not. I mean, I might be wrong.
It can be. I mean, this has been done before by the same director.
I don't give a shit about them pretending or how they do their pretending. Like, I don't care how the thing is made. I really don't. I don't want to know about how many liters of water they had to spray on the ground in order to create the effect of whatever. I'm not interested. For that moment, I want to be completely pulled into the story. I want to think this is real. I don't give a shit how many cameramen there are or that it's one take. I don't care. That's not interesting to me at all. I know Hollywood will be congratulating itself on doing something like this. And it's just incredible. And the guy's throat got so dry. Oh, poor him. This actor's really suffering. I get it. I know why they'd be impressed with that.
I never quite understood it.
I'm not impressed with this.
I didn't understand the concept until I started watching it. And then I understood the concept. And you understand how much actually goes into they did a whole high school evacuation, which had to have been coordinated down to the second.
Yeah, but what are the stakes here? So your pretend make-believe show won't come out exactly the way that you want. You might have to do it again. There's no real cost to this. It's all ego. This is all just like,
yeah, see,
you know what I
see
mean?
It's
I hate to rain on everybody who's
it's like
in
when
that business.
Advertisers get together at an award ceremony.
Yes, and congratulate each other.
Yeah, and so a lot of the times the consumer may not even remember. They might have remembered the good ad, but they don't remember what product it was for.
And nobody who's watching this show this morning cares that there are how many cameras do we have here? 4 cameras, where they're positioned, I mean, it either looks good or it doesn't. And by the
Mm.
way, on that front, we're doing some cool things in the next few weeks, which I'm excited to reveal to you. But they'll happen anyway. And we're not going to stop with content or devote the entire show to a new look and feel.
Mm.
It'll just suddenly happen.
No, nice.
You know? I get it. Like, it's a craft.
It's a craft. You're very aware of the fact that it's one take. It does affect your viewing and your experience. It affects how tense you feel throughout the entire thing. It feels like you're there. And the other thing is that the acting is just amazing. That little kid is going to be a major star.
What's his name? Do you know him?
I can't remember his name. He's never been in anything that I know of.
Okay.
This is Stephen Graham who directs it. Apparently, very similar to a series that he did before.
Oh, so it's only just premiered on Netflix now.
Yes, I've just finished watching it. Yeah.
A child accused, everyone left to answer. Owen Cooper. Okay. All right. Well, good for him.
And then Graham, what's the first actor? Stephen Graham. You would know him if you see his face. It's just amazing. So the actors don't have time to have like tears put in their eyes.
So they have to do it.
They have to
It has
actually
to happen.
become emotional.
Okay, so
in that stage.
They have to act.
There's no, can you
Does that
look a
make
little
sense?
bit more?
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's the pressure. Now I have to really act. Okay, all right.
No, I thought it was quite amazing.
Okay.
Haven't seen anything like it.
There are people who are digging cobalt out of mines this morning who might be listening to us a little bit later on today when they get a 5-minute break going, geez, these actors really suffer for their craft. Eh? Must be so tough to be an actor. Oh, anyway. I watched over the weekend, someone brought up a couple of weeks ago, the Princess Bride, that movie from I think it was the 80s.
Is it a children's movie?
It kind of was.
Yeah, I don't really watch those.
So, yeah, okay. So, like, I don't watch the true crime shit you watch, but I watched The Princess Bride, which is awesome. It's just like a really good story, rescuing the princess, fighting, all that kind of stuff. It's a bit sort of medieval. Anyway, I watched the whole thing, and Andre the Giant is in it. You remember Andre the Giant?
I don't.
Okay, see if you can find a picture of Andre the Giant for Leigh-Ann quickly.
Any of the Bond films?
No, apparently, I don't know if he was in the Bond films, but you'll recognize him when you see a picture of him just now. But apparently, while they were filming The Princess Bride, Rob Reiner, who's the director, was standing, getting ready for a shot or whatever, and this is what made me think of it, because I watched it the other day. Apparently, during one of the scenes, Andre the Giant let off like a 2-minute fart.
Oh my God.
He farted for 2 minutes and everything on the set was just brought to a standstill. Because this big there he is. There's Andre the Giant on the right. Imagine that guy farting for 2 minutes. Gross. Okay? That's fantastic.
So is he a giant in real life?
He's well, I don't think he's alive anymore. I'm not sure. But he died in 93. There we go. Okay, so there's Andre the Giant, a 2-minute long fart.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
find this for you quickly, because this is actually fascinating. I don't have the fart, but close. He was a French professional wrestler. He died in 93. But he was an actor as well, and they asked him to be in this movie. And he was big and strong. I mean, like, he was absolutely enormous. Look at the size of him.
Oh, wow.
That guy could fart.
Oh, that's so gross.
I know. Anyway, his surname was Rusimov. And apparently he weighed, this is amazing. I mean, he was born in France, the son of immigrants. His father was Bulgarian, his mother Polish. And he had 2 older siblings and 2 younger. But he had like gigantism, right? A big head, a big body. It was all proportionate, but he was much bigger than everyone else. So he was about 6 kilograms as a child. Sorry, at birth, he weighed 6 kilograms. That poor mother of his. Imagine having a child that's 6 kilograms heavy at birth. Abnormally long hands. his mother was 5'2" and his father was 6'2", but
I'm 5'2", so you can imagine.
his grandfather was 7'8". That's a monster. But by the time he was 12, he was already 6'3".
Jeez.
A big guy. Anyway, I just found it fascinating that in this movie, and he was actually pretty good. Like, he wasn't an actor by profession. He'd been in wrestling and the rest of it. But he did a pretty good job of this. And it's a cute movie. You know who was the princess? Was Robin Wright.
Oh, yes.
Remember her? Oh, so that was quite cool. Anyway, thought that would be fun for you to know. Andre the Giant's 2-minute farts. We've really kept today minimally laboratory. I think we've done a pretty good job of it. All right, here's some other stuff that you need to know this morning. Apparently, a Swiss politician, a guy called Mark Yaisley, was fined 6,500 francs, which is about 133,000 rand. Do you know what he did? He bought pink water pistols online. You know those plastic...
And now he's been fined because of that?
Yeah. Authorities deemed it a violation of the country's weapons law. Despite their bright color, prosecutors argued the toys could be mistaken for real firearms.
Oh, my gosh.
This guy had purchased them as gifts. He admitted he was unaware of the rule, but accepted and paid the fine. I mean, my God, Europe, you are so embarrassing. We were talking earlier about how Ursula von der Leyen was here in the country doing some shitty deal with Cyril Ramaphosa that no one should be excited about, by the way. But this is why Europe is a disaster. Like, you have to pay 133,000 rand fine for 2 luminous pink water pistols because some idiot somewhere in Europe might think that they're a real weapon because it's been so long since anyone in Europe actually saw a real weapon. Do you really think this is the solution to your problem? Like, these guys are so stupid. I'm telling you, this is some dumb law that was enacted by a bunch of beta males and a bunch of women who don't like the idea of weapons. And now someone can be fined 133,000 rand for buying pink water pistols. That is disgraceful.
It's ludicrous.
Right?
I mean, what if it was for, like, so if you have a private party,
unbelievable,
and a pool party, and you want pink water pistols for your party,
right?
You can't buy those.
No, 133,000 rand fine in the amazingly first world alpine country of Switzerland, which, by the way, is a country where everyone is in. You're meant to have a real weapon because they have conscription. They have a national conscription where every man of 18 or older is expected to come to the defense of Switzerland should there be an invasion. So there are actual weapons in safes all over Switzerland. But God help you if you order plastic water pistols. There is no logic left. Common sense has left the building, right? Unbelievable.
Oh, my gosh.
Apparently, police in Tennessee are searching for 4 suspects who used 2 pythons to distract a cashier while stealing $400 worth of CBD oil from a petrol station.
Oh, my gosh.
Again, in the world of stupid, there's just no final...
How much? $400 worth?
Yeah, of CBD oil.
Oh, my gosh.
So they've got CCTV footage. We've got the video. We'll show it to you now. Shows a man and a woman at the counter using the snakes to divert attention before taking the items and fleeing in a black saloon car with a bungee corded boot. The footage was shared by 731 Crime Stoppers who called out the suspects online. Take a look at this. This is unbelievable.
Well, Crime Stoppers need your help. According to investigators, on March 4th, 2 females and 2 males who had 2 ball pythons stole CBD oil valued at $400 from the Citgo on Highway 154. They left in a small 4-door sedan with drive-out tag and a trunk tied with bungee cords. Now, if you recognize any of these people, you can call Crime Stoppers. The number is 731-424-8477, or you can use their mobile P3 app.
I don't know.
You see the tours on the strings in their heads.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. First of all, this is not a well thought out plan.
If they were aiming, which is a really low target, to get $400 worth of CBD oil, and
Yeah.
they pulled it off, then that's fine. But it's quite an elaborate plot
Well,
to just get away with that.
Considering what they were stealing, these two
Yeah.
must have been high. Okay. So they were high.
Is
They
he-
probably came up with the plan while they were
Yeah.
high. They're like, I know, let's use snakes and put the snakes on a counter, and then the guy behind the counter is going to give us money. We going to steal his CBD oil.
Yeah, they probably saw somewhere how much you can get, they can sell it for. Probably saw it being sold for much more than what it was in that store. Oh my gosh, stupidity.
Okay, but you've got a story about the Swiss because
We just spoke about them.
I mentioned how dumb it is that this guy was arrested. Well, he was arrested, and then he had to pay a fine for pink water pistols. But the Swiss, we always think they're efficient
Mm-hmm.
and they're smart.
Don't get anything wrong.
And we were talking about banking earlier,
Yeah.
and the Swiss are, famous as a country. Some of the first bankers were in Switzerland.
Yes.
But they also are stupid sometimes, as already evidenced by the story about the water pistols, but also this.
Yeah, they do make mistakes.
So what happened?
So the Swiss government were very excited to order a plush new business jet for the government.
Oh,
It was time.
okay.
They decided to. So they.
What were they
shelled
tired of
out-
using horse and cart?
No, they just had like this really little jet, and these things become older over time.
Sure.
So they had their eye on the Bombardier Global 7500 business jet.
Yeah, that's what I've got.
And so they bought that for a cool $117 million.
That's that one there.
That's that one
Okay.
there.
All right.
Very
What are
proud.
those? The government people in the front there?
Yes, I see just the one lady, which was interesting.
Yeah.
Expected to see more women, but no, not
I
really.
see a whole bunch of people who can't own water pistols. That's what I see, you pussies.
Run by party poopers.
Yeah. That woman's probably the one in charge. She's like, you are not allowed any water pistols or anything that looks like a gun. And they're all like, yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. No problem, ma'am.
So it's quite interesting in that picture. You can see that the jet
Mm.
fits quite nicely into that hangar.
Yes.
That's because they had to take it to an airport 40 minutes away from its original destination
Oh, no.
because it was too big for the hangar at the airport. Not only that, but it's too big for the runway.
Oh, no.
So somehow
Oh,
this
that's
was
so
not
embarrassing.
thought out.
All right. So this is like when we ordered those trains that are too big for the tracks.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yes.
Our government's so stupid, they will not be outdone. I'm not going to let the Swiss get away with being the only dumb government. Remember when our government, they bought trains from the Spanish, I think, and then the gauge of the wheels was different to the tracks that we have in South Africa.
Mm.
And nobody thought to measure. Nobody thought to take a tape measure and actually get the measurements correct.
Measure twice, buy once.
Correct. But we are still sitting with trains. I think they're still sitting somewhere in South Africa, and they don't fit on our tracks.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Look, it's a mistake that I would make very easily. But when you're in an entire government and your whole symbol is efficiency.
Well, the Swiss, yeah. I mean, the Swiss they trade on being efficient. and,
Yes.
super
Precision.
smart. Yeah. Pünktlich und tuchtig und dichtig und genau.
Yes.
But clearly not.
So now, in order to take use this jet, you've got to drive a whole lot of
Well-
kilometers and then go to another airport.
Well, stupid has a price.
And it also can't land at certain airports that they're used to landing at. It's just really a total
so
stuffer.
embarrassing. Stupid them. All right. And then apparently there's a whole thing going on. The last little bit of news for the morning. This is trending on Twitter. Gqom music, right?
Yes.
Okay, so apparently there's an event in Cape Town called Gqom Therapy, which was celebrated for its immersive music experience. Attendees appreciated the event's authenticity, particularly due to its phoneless policy,
Nice.
which encouraged living in the moment. Discussions online have highlighted the event's success and the unique atmosphere it fostered, with many expressing a desire for more such experiences. Well, I'm here to help. So if you would like to have more experiences where you don't use your phone, what you do is you switch off your phone like this, power it off. To turn off your iPhone, press and hold. How fucking incredible is that? Look at that. Now, I don't have to use my phone. You know what I can carry on doing? Living in the moment. Isn't this fantastic, Leigh-Ann? I've just helped you to have a home therapy experience right in the comfort of your own home. You don't have to spend any money. You don't have to get drunk or high.
But
You
you're
don't have
doing
to
it.
listen to any kind of music.
The whole idea is that you're supposed to be doing it at the same time and with other people.
So then all of you switch your phones off at the same time with other people. Isn't this amazing, guys? Aren't I a genius? Huh? I know. Isn't this wonderful? So for all those people who've only just realized now that true happiness, as we were talking to Dr. Hanan about earlier, comes from the pursuing of a goal, not from attaining the goal. You don't need to go to some music festival and switch your phone off in order to feel happy and connected to other people. You can do it as part of your daily life every day. You know what? It would be amazing if you did this, for starters, when you're sitting around the dinner table with people. It's totally doable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not the Pope. No one's phoning you to solve deep theological problems that might disconnect humans from God. So you can switch your phone off occasionally. And you know what? Even though there may be emergencies, because everyone's always like, oh, I've got to have my phone in case there's an emergency. But you're just a mom of one kid with big fucking thick glasses who's at school. Whatever happens, there are going to be adults around, other adults, who will make sure that little Timmy, or whatever his name is, doesn't walk into a wall or whatever he's prone to do when mom's not on speed dial. He'll be okay. You're not the president of the United States. Like, international trade's not going to break down if you don't have your iPhone with you. It's amazing how unimportant you actually are. It's amazing how unimportant I am.
But it's also amazing how much communication that should be kept to emails, for instance, or within the office is actually put out on WhatsApp.
Oh, yeah.
And you're expected to just be in the loop the whole
Well,
time.
you know what's nice? Sometimes you switch that shit off. Do it. Let's all take that public holiday that's coming up, Human Rights Day, the 21st, Friday. Let's take that day and switch our phones off. Live in the moment, like this festival in Cape Town suddenly taught a whole lot of people who didn't realize this was possible. Like, you guys, it's awesome. We can all do this every single day. And you know what? It'll be amazing. Just don't do it while you're listening to or watching this show.
Yeah, very important.
Right? Otherwise, you would have missed out on that.
And then how would you know?
Exactly. I'll tell you something. We've been around longer than music, right, Leigh-Ann?
Yeah.
All right, that's enough from us for this morning. You happy with that? Okay, right, good. Sorry there was no lion tamer, but he got stuck in traffic and he will be here for next time's show.
Nice.
We have a show for you on Wednesday between 6 and 8, as usual, and then not on Friday, because as I mentioned already, there's a pubic holiday on Friday.
Yay.
All right, so have a happy time. Ciao, everybody. Bye.
Oh.